One of the major challenges we face in the modern age is the fact that so much of our lives is now online. Computers in general, especially on the internet, and somehow this is a platform that we're using that's accessible to anybody, anywhere in the world. We have to come up with some way to make sure that what belongs to us is only available to us. Everyone here has used passwords. Everyone has jumped through all the hoops trying to figure out how to create a password, how to use a password, how to remember a password, how to recover a password because you've forgotten what it was. This is a common experience for everyone. And especially with the fact that different resources, different things that you might use on your own computer or online or whatever it may be, have different standards for what your password ought to be. So, typical password requirement goes something along the lines of has to be at least 8 characters long, has to be has to have letters, numbers, symbols, and a virgin's blood taken on a full moon. How on earth do they expect you to come up with this stuff? What is going on? Why is this so important? Okay, first off, a password is something that, as I said, you use to access something that belongs to you. Now, this is a way to keep your own, let's say, email private to you. But one of the problems that comes up is if you use that password for your email, and then you turn around and go to your bank, who also wants a password, and you use the same password there, suddenly you have 2 different people who obviously know your password or have something about your password, and they each have some information to access something else of yours that you don't really want them to have. You don't want the people who have your email to see your bank account. You don't want the people who have your bank account to read your email. Now, obviously one of those might be a little bit more sensitive than the other, but it's the basic idea. So what you are asked to do is not just to come up with a password that you'll be able to remember, but to do a different one for every website you use. Your email, your bank, Bitul Halomi has one. Everywhere you look, every place you go, there's another account, another password, another thing to remember, and most people at this point just give up and say, I can't do this. So what if they can actually all see what I have in the other place? I can't come up with a better way to manage this. There are better ways. There are a couple of different possibilities. There are two things that I personally use. First off, you don't want to actually put yourself in a position where you have to actually remember all the passwords, because you can't. It's just not possible. What you can do is remember a password and use that as a way to get at everything else. So, the 2 things that I use. I have a tool that I have hooked up to all of my web browsers, and what it does is it takes one password that I know. It uses a special mathematical function called a hash, which is, I'm not going to go into what that is, but basically it's something that's going to give you a unique value for anything that you feed into it, such as a website. And it mixes your password with this unique value and comes up with a new password. So that means that I remember my own password, this tool sees what website it's on that I'm visiting, mixes the two passwords together, comes up with a new password that wherever I am is always going to be the same. So now I have a way to give a password that is unique to each website, but not something that anyone else from any of the other websites that I use can guess. That's one thing. But what happens when you have a password, a resource that comes along and says, you know what, you've had your password for a whole 12 hours, it's time to change it. So you need to have a way to come up with not just one password, but a new password, a new one, a new one. And that's where you get into password management tools. There are a number of different such tools. The one I use is called KeyPass. And one of the things this thing has, and most such tools will have something like this, is a way to generate a random password. A random password, it makes it up on its own. I don't think about making it up. I'm not going to come up with a good password on my own. I know that. What I do, if I need to remember it, such as my password for getting into my computer at work, is I'll take that random password, and once I have it, I'll try to come up with some sort of mnemonic from that. So, based on the letters, I'll come up with a phrase that it stands for, and something that I can remember. For everything else, all the other websites and whatever, again, this is a tool that has one password. I use that password to log into this tool. I then can go and look up what my current password is for my bank. I can go use that to actually log into the bank, and yes, acknowledge the fact that it has been 12 hours since I logged in, so I do need to change my bank's password. Go into the tool, press the button to give me a new password, put that into the bank, and it already remembers it. So, to wrap it up, passwords are a difficult tool that we need to use in order to keep our information private. It's something that we can keep control of, that we can manage, if you use the right tools. Mr. Toastmaster.
It's always good to hear a few tips on how to sort of like stay one step ahead